is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Matt Stadler.
Very good morning to you. Welcome to the weekend. I'm Matt Stadler. I'm with you, of course, until 5 here on LBC. And we have got so much more to get through. So stick with me. And if you want to join in the conversation, 0345 6060 973. Some really inspiring calls over the past couple of hours. I promised you that I'd read you some of these front pages just to give you a sense of where the media stands now on this ongoing story, of course, of those atrocities from Wednesday. I'll do that in just a second, but I want to give you a chance to call in on this issue. But I'm asking you right now whether you think that there should be a line drawn in the sand when it comes to public displays, public shows of religion, and also in the office too. And I'm going to make a couple of surprising statements, I think, if you know me well now from the last 6 months on LBC. I think that when it comes to the full veil, when it comes to a headscarf that then covers the face and leaving either only a slit for the eyes, or certainly when there's actually a form of grid over the eyes, I think that actually that should not be allowed, not just in the office but also in public. I think probably, and it's a very, very difficult call because I understand the offence that this will cause. And if you are Muslim, and whether or not you yourself or your wife, your partner does use the full veil, I want to hear from you if you are offended and if you want to stick up for its ongoing use. Of course, it's perfectly legal to wear the veil in public as things stand. I really want to hear from you, so call me 0345 6060 973. But I think whatever religion we are, whatever background, wherever we were born, we should show each other our faces, or certainly portions of our faces, in public. And I think that probably goes for the office as well. So that's my first contentious suggestion this morning. I don't agree at all with those areas of France that temporarily last year banned the bikini. I think you should be able to use a bikini on the beach. I don't think that you should be allowed to cover your entire face, but I think you should be able to use the bikini. I think we should be sensitive to each other's religions. I think we should be tolerant as far as we possibly can be. I think I do just draw the line at the bikini. I also am going to be contentious in that I disagree, I think, with a ruling of the European Court of Justice. You'll probably have followed this news story. I can see the switchboard is already lighting up. So many of you want to have your say. Well, back on the 14th of March, we learned that workplace bans on the wearing of any political, philosophical or religious sign, such as headscarves, need not constitute direct discrimination. That's according to Europe's top court. And I wonder whether you agree with that or not. I don't think I do. I think that you should be able to, within reason, again, I think you should be able to wear in the workplace what you want. Now, I don't know whether this law is going to filter through in this country, quite what effect it will have, whether it is or isn't directly applicable into British law. And of course, we're going to be leaving the EU relatively shortly anyway. But I do want to know what you feel. So call me 0345 6060 973. I think as well we should probably educate ourselves, and I dug up an article and here it is describing the various different headwear that you can wear as a Muslim woman. The hijab is apparently used to describe the act of covering up generally, but it's often used to describe the headscarves worn by Muslim women. These scarves come in many styles and colours. The type most commonly worn in the West covers the head and neck, but leaves the face clear. I don't have a problem with a hijab where it leaves the face clear. I start to get a bit uncomfortable when you move on to the niqab, which is a veil for the face that leaves the area around the eyes clear. It can be worn with a separate eye veil. It's worn with an accompanying headscarf. I get a bit uncomfortable about that. I don't like the idea of women covering up so much of their faces. I don't care what religion you are. And the burqa as well. The burqa definitely makes me feel uncomfortable. This is the most restrictive, as I would see it, of all Muslim head dresses. It's a one-piece veil, and it covers the face and the body, and it often leaves just a mesh screen to see through. That, I do think, has no role in our society. But tell me whether you disagree or not. 0345 6060973. That's the number to call. And I would love to hear from you if you're a Muslim, but I'd also love to hear from you if you're a Christian or if you're a Jew or if you're a Hindu, whatever you are. If you feel that this decision recently of the European Court of Justice could compromise your rights potentially, if you feel that you should be allowed in your place of work to be able to wear signs of your religion. Because, as I say, this workplace ban, the idea of a workplace ban on wearing any political, philosophical or religious sign, like headscarves, it doesn't have to mean direct discrimination. That's according to the European Court of Justice. The ban must be based on internal company rules requiring all employees to dress neutrally. So this does have big ramifications if you're religious and you want to wear signs of that religion when you are in the workplace. 0345 6060973 is the number to call. Abbas is in Redbridge. Very good morning to you, Abbas.
Hi there, Matt. How you doing?
Good to hear from you.
I was just saying that it just sounds a bit like a witch hunt, to be honest.
What does?
Well, I think to try to erode any sign of religious, dress or identity, I think we have to be sensible and reasonable. If it doesn't interfere with anybody else, and if it's not something that's going to impair you from doing your job, I really don't see a problem with it, quite frankly.
I think I agree with you, but I ask you, you're Muslim yourself, Abbas. I ask you for your reaction. I ask you for your reaction on the burqa specifically. Do you see where I'm coming from? I'm not asking you necessarily to agree with me, but do you see where I'm coming from? That in this country, in the United Kingdom, when you're walking down the street, you should be able to expect to be able to see someone's face or a decent portion of it. I think we've lost Abbas. I hope he's not too shocked by what I've said. I promise you we will try to get Abbas back on the phone because I'm really interested to hear his view. 0345 6060973 is the number to call. A text here saying religion should be left at home. About time religion stopped being protected and had no special rules. Leave it at home and stop waving it about. Abbas is back, I hope. Abbas in Redbridge, good morning.
Sorry about that. I accidentally cut you off.
It wasn't out of shock, was it?
No, not at all. I think to be honest, Matt, pretty much the majority of Muslims do not feel that the burqa, the full covering, is compulsory or necessary. But I'm of the view that if a woman actually wants to wear that, as long as she's not forcing her employer to have to accept that, and she wants to wear it on the street, just because I don't think it's a necessity or something that she has to do, I still believe that it's her freedom to do so. But certainly, if it comes to employment, and the employer says, well, look, that's perhaps taking it too far, and it will impair you from doing your job, I think that's fair enough. I think that's not an unreasonable request by the employer. But I think this notion about, what are we going to do? Are we going to tell Sikhs to take their turbans off and cut their hair and don't? But
I think that's fundamentally different, isn't it? What I am calling for is the ability for all of us as British citizens or people who live in the United Kingdom to be able to see each other's faces. I think that is surely fundamental.
I think that's reasonable, Matt. I have no problem.
Do you know where it comes from, Abbas? Do you know where this notion of covering your entire face and just having a grid so that you can actually see where you're going? Do you know where that comes from? Is it based in the Quran somewhere? How has that happened?
The Quran only mentions tell the believing man to lower his gaze and tell the believing woman to dress modestly. The description of what modesty is comes from the hadith, which is the sayings of the Prophet or the teachings of the Prophet. Now, that is down to interpretation. So, for example, there were certain special conditions on the Prophet's wives, whereby after the Prophet's death they could not remarry again, and they did wear the burqa. But most Muslims do not see that as a condition that all women have to adhere to. That was just special conditions.
Because surely, as a Muslim living in 2017, you don't want to live, and this goes for other religions too, you don't want to live your life according to 7th century values.
Well, you see, Matt, the thing is this. When you talk about 7th century values, most of those values that we refer to, and I mean the absolute vast majority of them, actually are not to do with prayer or to do with dress code. They're to do with etiquette, manners, decorum, respecting people, educating yourself, educating your women. In fact, there's a very famous saying of the companions at the time of shortly after the Prophet, peace be upon him, passed away, which was that the companions in the 7th century, who were prior to Islam receiving Islam, were very, very chauvinistic, clearly, as most men were and often are still in present time. They said that if there was a matter of our religion that we didn't understand, we used to run to Aisha, which was the Prophet's wife, because her memory and her eloquence was far superior to any of us men. So, I mean,
because I've got two questions I want to squeeze in, and then I want to go to Sheeda. I'll probably have to go to Sheeda after the break. She's a Muslim, and I want her to have her say as well. My first question is this: this idea of women dressing modestly. Okay, maybe, so long as men should dress modestly as well. Why is there the emphasis on women?
There is a condition on men as well, Matt. So a man is actually not allowed to wear very, very tight or revealing clothes. A man is not allowed to actually wear tight or revealing clothes, and he's supposed to also cover up what is known as his aura, which is basically between his knees and his navel. That should be covered at all times.
But why should he not cover up parts of his hair like a woman?
Well, I think, Matt, we've got to understand that the physiology of a man and a woman are somewhat different. So I think that's what we've got to realise. There is a fundamental difference between how men look and how women look, and obviously our bodies are different. I'm
not sure how a woman's hair is more somehow sexually, I don't know, adventurous than a man's hair. I think on that point we'd probably have to part. And I'd love to continue talking to you, but we do need to go to a break. I've got so many people wanting to have their say. 0345 606097.